Hey everyone, this is Coach James Rodriguez, coach and executive director with the John Maxwell team. On my Facebook page and Instagram, I answer leadership and business questions for those who follow me. I answer those questions through direct messaging or private message. I decided that I will start sharing those questions via video. That way to add more value to everyone else. So, if you would like to ask questions, any leadership questions or management questions that can be affecting you directly, you can reach out to me and like my page on Facebook.com/ecoach Rodriguez. That's the letter ECOACH Rodriguez. Or on Instagram as well at ecoach Rodriguez. And if you want to visit my website on the John Maxwell Group, it's johnmaxwellgroup.com/James Rodriguez. Well, anyway, the first question that I'm going to be sharing with you guys today is I actually had a follower that actually asked me, James, how do I communicate to my team that the company is going to start doing some layoffs? So what I decided to do, I'm going to share with you guys basically how to share a negative communication with your team, whether it's layoffs, pay cuts. They cut your budget and you're not going to have a company picnic this year, or a company outing, or one-on-one, how to talk to an individual team member one-on-one about something negative. One thing that I can tell you is that the first thing as a leader, you need to have empathy. You need to have understanding, and you need to have passion. One of the biggest things is that a lot of managers, and I'll use the word managers, and leaders, because you have leaders that understand it and other leaders who don't. And, there's different levels of leadership, which we can go into that another time. But John Maxwell speaks about those 5 levels of leadership. But what I'm going to talk to you about today is basically how to handle that. How to handle negative communication to your teams. Okay, whether it's a pay cut, laying off, or whatever negative communication you need to make. Well, I want to share with you about a Professor Greenberg, who is actually a management and human resources professor, who actually did 2 surveys with 2 different companies. He actually did a study, and one company, the first company I'll mention, it was a vice president who actually had to communicate with his team that they're going to do a 15% pay cut to everyone. And basically, what he did is that he came out, he was very dry, very to the point, spoke with his team, told them what they're going to do. He answered questions, but the whole process took them 15 minutes. It took them 15 minutes because it was just dry, short, no empathy. It was just, you know what, I'm just going to communicate this to my team, and they need to understand it because this is a company decision. We're not making the money that we thought we will make this year, and we need to do this, and they need to understand, and that's the way it is. That's not great leadership. And I tell you what, most leaders don't realize that one of the biggest parts of being a great leader is having emotional intelligence. What that basically means is that you have to understand that your team has emotions. They're going to take those things negatively. And if there's no way to actually vent that or speak about it or communicate it, it will be communicated by them in a very negative way. And I'll share that. As a professor, like I shared with you, the professor study had one team. The vice president came out, 15 minutes, boom, right to the point. And then there was a second company that had a very similar pay cut. And the vice president came out and actually planned the whole thing. He planned how he was going to speak to his team. He planned it, and he realized it was going to be it was going to affect them emotionally. And when you talk about cutting people's pay, believe me, it's something it's not a good thing. It's an extremely negative thing. It's the same thing as if you were about to talk to someone about layoffs, which is even more extreme, obviously, because you're going to lose your jobs. But the thing is to talk to your team. He actually took an hour and a half to actually speak to his people and actually connect with them and actually share with them the reasons why. And then he sat there and actually answered real questions. And he showed that he understood, he had empathy, and that, he cared about his team. But then what he did, he also added hope. He showed them in the end that this is what we need to do as a company. But this is what we're going to do. And once we get to this point, this is going to be the result. And this is what we can do later to start growing again and actually getting you back your pay. This is what we need to do. So these two studies showed that the second company, the one where the vice president actually took his time, shared with his team, told them the truth, and actually was empathetic and actually cared about what his team felt. They were 80 in a 10-week period. They actually had 80% less theft. That's right, stealing, theft, than the first company. And the second company also was 15 times more likely not to resign. Their turnover was way, way less than the first company. And by the way, the second company, after that first year, their second year, they actually hit way better results than they've had in previous years. Because the employees went to work. They actually started producing. The other company actually started declining, the first company. Why? Because in the end, it was so negative that they actually were doing everything to be, they were actually against the company. It was almost like they didn't care about the company. So you need to understand that one of the biggest things that you need to do, first of all, is that you need to be able to communicate directly to your team, and you have to be honest. You have to be honest. You gotta tell the truth, and you gotta mix it with hope as well. I mean, obviously. And by the way, never tell half truths. Never tell half truths, because it's the same thing as lying. When you lie to your team, it's probably the worst thing that you can do, because it will come back to bite you. I guarantee it. Does that work sometimes, lying? I'm sure that 10% of the companies out there find a way to get out of that. But I'm going to tell you something. It's not the way you want to live as a leader. It's not the way you want to live as a manager. And it's not the way you want to create influence with your team. Most of the time, it's better to take the entire team and talk to them and share with them the truth and be honest. Another question was, should he talk to them one-on-one? You can do that as well, by the way. You can speak to those people one-on-one, depending. I mean, you have to. If you're going to lay people off, you actually need to talk to them one-on-one, because it's a personal thing. If you're doing an entire company, like a 15% pay cut across the board, you need to talk to the entire team. You want to show that you're being obviously open, and that you're not hiding anything. So when it comes to that, it's always better to show that, that here, look, I'm being an open book, and I'm going to share with you guys what we need to do. Now, I'm sharing this with you guys because I've done this myself many times, and the results have been incredible. I've also been in the end, and I want to share with executives and CEOs and owners of companies. You want to be honest with your executive team. If you have an executive team, you want to be always honest with them, and not give them half truths. And then they go out and communicate to their teams half truths, and they don't know that it's a half truth, because you will be putting your people out there. You will be putting them out there, and you don't want to do that. So listen, be honest. Work from a place of empathy. Work from a place showing your team that you care. There's no better to operate than being honest with your team. And also being fair. When you're doing these decisions, when you're making these decisions, by the way, to lay off and pay cuts, and make sure that making sure the process is fair, that there's no political input into that. I like this person better. Make sure it's result orientated. There's no political view in it. There's no, make sure that it's fair. In the Harvard Business Review, there's a Joel Brockner wrote an article, Why It's So Hard to Be Fair. And in his writings, he shows in the end being fair actually is an economic upturn for most companies. They actually find that if you're fair, your company grows. And he shows many examples of that. And there's a lot of studies that show that. So listen, so again, just to wrap this up real quickly, you want to be fair, you want to be honest with your teams, and you want to show them that you have empathy. So you live from there, and like John Maxwell says, and what I truly believe, leadership is one thing. Leadership is influence, nothing more, nothing less. So create that influence by living from integrity, showing your people that you're empathetic, honest, and that you create hope. And with that, your team will follow you, and that's what you want. You want to create that influence where they'll follow you, they'll be more productive, and they know that their company really cares about them. And if it's layoffs, it's a much difficult time. Talk to those people that you're laying off. Be empathetic with them, and then talk to the company, because you're going to create an environment where most of your team is actually going to be nervous, and they're going to be wondering if this is the company I want to work for. So you need to alleviate some of that from that emotional state. Again, emotional intelligence. Be an incredible leader. Be a leader of emotional intelligence. Care about your people, and show them that you are a true leader of influence. Thank you. And again, if you're looking, you want to ask questions, and I would love to add value to you and to your team. Go ahead and come onto Facebook, eCoach Rodriguez. Again, Instagram as well, eCoach Rodriguez, and I'll be more than glad to look at your question and give you my best coaching advice. And again, I'll talk to you guys soon. I'll be doing this a lot more often and sharing this with all of you. And I truly hope that this video added value to you and added value to your team. God bless, and talk to you soon.